Hello, welcome to the first episode of Joy News Interactive this week. I'm Benis Abu Bedi. Now let me fill you in on what we are discussing today. How often do you read? Because that has a correlation with how long you could live, according to a study. And what do you think about CEOs and high executive people becoming taxi drivers to boost tourism? Also, according to Bishop Charles Genasari, a sexually satisfied man or husband is usually a good provider. Men, we want to hear what you have to say on this one. So here's how to get interactive with us. Get onto Facebook. Our name is Joy News on TV. When you get there, the various issues we discuss here are posted there. Kindly leave your comments in the comment section. Also, you can tweet at us at Joy News on TV. Alternatively, you can send us a WhatsApp message on the number 0560 800,000 0560 800 000. There's a lot of things that have been said about reading, but this one, using data on 3,635 people, over 50,000 researchers found that people who read for up to 3.5 hours a week were 17% less likely to die over 12 years of follow-up, and those who read more than that were 23% less likely to die. Open Culture reports. And now book readers live an average of almost 2 years longer than those who do not read at all. So do you read? Well, we went onto the streets to find out from some people, and here's what they've been saying.
3 times a week. Yeah, I think it's a good idea because when you read, it makes your brain active. So as a human being, you have to make yourself active all the time. So reading a lot of storybook make you very active.
Sometimes I read 3 times a week, sometimes 4 times a week to broaden my mind. I think it will, because when they read books like health books and other stuff, they will live longer. They'll know how to manage their life. They'll know how to live healthier and do exercise more.
3 times in a week, not every day. When I have my leisure time. When you read more, you will know new things. Yeah, that's what I know.
So do we read at all? I'm sure there's going to be a mad rush for books after this story goes viral. But let's get on to Facebook. Prince Boate's success says, last time I read a book was back in senior high school, where a headmaster bombarded us with several novels and prose to read compulsorily. But that was because he felt the performance of English in the school was appalling. But I reminisce, the very last book I read was At the End of the Tunnel. Well, yes, that's by Peggy Opong. Franklin Chivor writes books. There's more to that comment over there on Facebook. Okay, well, it's actually a poem on books, so well, we'll skip that comment and move on. Real Big Itieku says, I did study a book not quite long ago. I think it's true. Moreover, reading is a good habit and it equips one's knowledge and provides a healthy life. Mahama Bakojo says, I wasn't eating any of that junk. Most of the stuff I eat, I grow myself. Okay, Mahama Bakojo seems to be lately posting some comments that are not too related to what we are posting. But Adele Nana Ekia Amo says, I will say yes when those books relate to health or good life, and no, because reading books alone doesn't save you from accidents or unforeseen circumstances. So here's what that study says. The study says there's a correlation between people who read a lot of books and how long they live. So, I mean, just examine your life carefully. If you're not reading too many books, it probably means that you're cutting down your life. But Nana Kwame Safo Kantanka says, what of those who spend much of their time reading about news online? Maybe we should start a study on that one too and see how it works. Sana Mohammed says, I only read when I'm having exams. Really, Sana? You don't want the whole world to know that, but thanks for the honesty. Anyway, Habibu Ali says, then I have to start reading my own literature books like Oliver Twist, Words of an African Mother, etc. Aliu Mahama again, and he says, then let me go pick my books and start again. Today, no eating. I'm going to read. And Oracle Sogbolisa, oh, he thinks there's no sense in this, and he's asking what of his great-grandfather, who is in the village, 100 years old and over, and still kicking, not even with a BECE certificate. Alzo Emmanuel says, I'm off to the library. And he laughs at that. Nesbit K. Anipa says the last time he read a book was yesterday. That's good. Prince Nuruddin Baumia says he reads at his leisure time. So he says this is ridiculous. And Jonathan Arthur Jamisi says he's not sure this is true. You're watching Joy News Interactive with me, Bernice Abubedi. We are talking about a study that suggests the more you read, the longer you live. We'll also talk about what do you think about CEOs becoming taxi drivers just to boost Ghana's tourism sector. I'll be back with more. Please don't go away. Thanks for staying with me on Joy News Interactive. Before the break, we were talking about a study that suggests the more you read, the longer you live. And I'm going to take some of your comments here on WhatsApp. Very interesting comments. This one says, my grandmother is 106 years and she's even calling for death. She has never read before. He thinks the study is not true. This is Morris from Sunyani. And this one says, I love to read. It keeps me active apart from spending time well, on the tennis court. I love to read books like The Psychology of Wealth, When a Million Meet a Billion, my first year in network marketing. This is Ebenezer Nyati from Doje Penny SHS. Thanks so much for your comment. This one says, I think reading is a key to knowledge, so I read every day. This is from Maxwell Loverboy. Prosper from Tamale says, I'm blessed. I'm sure he's talking about that study. I said, well, if that's what the study says, then I'm sure I'm going to live long. He says, I'm currently reading Manasseh Azuri's book and Uncle Ebo White's latest inspirational book, and Patrick Collins' Speak with Power and Confidence. Well, he says he reads a lot because of the work he does. And this one says, it's been years since I read a book, and I wish that I can continue because it was reading that broadened my mind, but sometimes it can get boring. This is Hella Cyril from Keta, and this one says reading really broadens one's knowledge, and this is coming from Tamale. This one says, I read when it's light off. Benji, are you trying to be sarcastic or what? Let's move away from that and let's talk about tourism and what one Ghanaian media personality thinks can boost the industry. Gilbert Abeku Agri, popularly known as Abeku Santana, is asking chief executive officers and other learned Ghanaians to consider the option of being part-time commercial drivers to boost the tourism industry. Now, I'll tell you what I think about his statement right after this. Let's see what people are saying.
Okay, when I say that it's my boss who is driving me, in case of taxi, I will just tell him to drive carefully, because Ghana, how the other drivers drive and stuff can cause accidents. You have to take your time carefully so that you not cause harm to yourself. Because as a boss, my purpose is different from that. So I think they should get someone who can do that thing better.
I'll be surprised if I see my CEO in the taxi, because overall CEO has a heat car that is heavy, that it shouldn't but maybe a taxi. I think it will be good, because if something happen and people, the respect that they have for the CDO will improve. Because most of the time they just see like this guy, people just drive and they drive carelessly. So if the CEO is in the system driving or teaching a lot of people concerned the driving, is okay.
So what do you think? Do you think CEOs should start, considering a part-time job as taxi drivers so we can boost our tourism industry? Well, here's what I think. One, I think it's going to put a lot of people out of jobs, and I think there's a lot of ways we can boost our tourism industry apart from getting CEOs who already earn some, good amount of money to be part-time taxi drivers. We can do many other things apart from that. But hey, that's his opinion. What's yours? Are you comfortable about it? What do you think? Will that boost our tourism sector. Even a lot of your comments coming through. This one says that I do not agree with him because the people who will be taxi drivers sometimes do not have any other job to do. So keep your comments coming in here on this subject. Should CEOs be part-time taxi drivers just so that we can boost our tourism sector? What do you think? I'm waiting for you to talk to me here on WhatsApp on the number 0560-800,000. I'll talk about Twitter and all the things that have been trending on Twitter over the weekend. Hashtag Airtel Adum Praise was trending. Yes, it did trend. And I was there myself. I told you I was going to be there. I don't lie. And there were a lot of interesting things that happened. Great music. The show started on time. It was amazing. Nathaniel uttered a spoken word. That was amazing. I wasn't expecting that because we all know him for, well, I have love for sports. And then also there was this part in the show where the MC was calling out credit card numbers so that people could type in, well, they call it fastest finger, to get credits on their phone. And I caught a lady, well, let's see how she reacted to that. Take a look at this.
5, 2, 0, 3, 6.
Different reasons why people go for shows. But well, it was interesting to see a lot of people excited and jumping over, you know, fastest figure, Airtel credit. So it means that if you were not an Airtel user, you didn't have any treats on that day. But Daniel from Inhinim says being a CEO driving a taxi is no news because he or she is making money out of this. But he says, I do appreciate it because it will boost our tourism. He tends to agree with Abeku Santana. Somebody thinks that this shows how hard the economy is. I'm not sure. Well, this one is talking about reading books and says, I certainly don't know the last time I read a book, but my vocabulary is perfect. And this is Kwao Yale sending us this message from Takwa. Now let's talk about something that's very interesting and sexually satisfied men are usually good providers. Now I don't know what you have to say about that, but Bishop Ajinasari is in the news. He's been talking about how sexually satisfied men tend to be good providers. Here's a quote from his sermon Sunday, August 7th. Quote, there are times women don't understand that a sexually satisfied man is usually a good provider. There are times women don't understand that, and that was for emphasis, his repetition. He says, I want to give it to you again that a sexually satisfied man or husband is usually a good provider because he'll provide for his wife and try to please her out of appreciation, not out of obligation. And what happens is that he becomes less tempted to lust after other women because his thoughts are always filled with her, unquote. Men, we want to know. Let's get onto Facebook because a lot of you have been talking. Abubakar Taiba says, yes, he is right. If a woman satisfies her husband, what would he be looking out for in another woman? What he always wants, he gets, and enough. So all he will care about is the needs of his family, and that will make him a good provider. Edward Anang says, it's true. Men are talking. Says, what about sexually satisfying a woman or wife so that most men will stay at one place? Some of these women are noisy and complain too much. And Sana Mohammed says, it's just the same because people have real difference in libido, so it's just the same. He thinks, oh, but the bishop is just, he's just saying something. TJ says, these are the kind of thoughts I always want to hear from most of our marriage counselors. And he says, I hope Lutrot is listening. Oh, Counselor Lutrot, our bro. Mahama Bakr just says, congrats, Grandpa. Okay, Kelvin of Suganza says, you have to listen to the whole sermon before judging. Nobody has judged. We took a quote of his sermon. And yes, he did say that usually men who satisfy their wives usually tend to be good providers. Thomas Kwabla Vigbedo says, I will put it this way, a sexually satisfied man or husband who has the means is usually a good provider. And Clement Sapon says, yes, I think he's right. Once you get satisfied, you're able to bring everything on board. Prince Boateng Success says, I personally don't think sexual satisfaction is the key issue. He says, I believe it's about the woman's respect and royal treatment, which might include sex she grants the man. Councillor Luttrell said, there's absolutely nothing physically a woman can do in her own capacity to keep a man. He says you can't satisfy a man. If he wants to be a good provider, he will. And he laughs and says, I feel he's so right. So the men are talking. It's interesting, yeah, because the men have to tell us if they agree or not. And Lawson Nasir Sani says, we all can and never live the same life. There are men out there, the more their wives give them what they want, the more they want it outside as well. It says we are different kinds of human beings and we have different kinds and types of brain. Kenneth Kinzima is asking, what should I think? Kenneth, I don't know. What do you think? We want to know what you think. And Stephen Auntie thinks, well, this is Pasco. I don't know what Pasco is about this. He said this sermon, or he gave this sermon yesterday during his church. I don't know if he's trying to say the bishop is saying something that's Pasco. And if people are taking this on the pastors too, this Pasco thing. Kusi Apia Kubi says, oh, he has hit the nail right on its head. And he adds, bam. Okay. Ebi Adele says, so true. Zoiku Daniel says, it's true talk. Joshua Freeman Osata says, true in some basis, but not 100%. He thinks that if you're doing a statistics, it would be 6 out of 10 men. And Wade Emmanuel Tete says, it's true. Genya Communal Victor says, it's true. The men are talking. Ladies, please listen. If you want your man to provide, well, basically all the men here on Facebook, let me put it that way, all the men here on Facebook are saying it's true. Real Big Itieku says, this is a wise saying, and I think it's true because once the man is already satisfied, it enables him willing to be the healthy, well, I'm not sure, I'm sure I mean he'll provide. Full Della says, sincerely speaking, Daddy is right. And Kwame Gonzalez says, it's true. Wow. Here on WhatsApp, please remember to add your name and location. This one says, it's on point. And this one, well, it's talking about the taxi drivers. He says, I don't think it's the best. The CEOs even don't have much time at their disposal. Some of them wish the 24 hours could be increased to 30 hours in a day. So Ebenezer Nyati from Jojapeni SHS is saying, oh, well, CEOs and taxi drivers, he doesn't think it works well. But let's come back to this issue about sexually satisfied men being, well, usually good providers. We went onto the streets this year if we would sample similar views like we've done here on Facebook.
No, I disagree with that because I think even when two people get married, it's not because of sex, it's not because of one thing, but it's many other things which come together and make the marriage. So I don't agree with that. If the woman doesn't satisfy the man sexually, he wouldn't provide, he would do that.
To an extent, because I think that if the man is being satisfied very well in the house, he would have no reason to go outside, date other women by that. He would be spending a lot outside. So if he's satisfied in the house or home, he would, whatever he makes outside, he will bring to the house.
I agree with him because maybe if he does, the woman does so, the man will feel comfortable and then can do whatever the woman wish for her. Because as he wished for the woman has done it for her. So everything he wants, the woman will do it. And then the woman also support the man in case of any work in the house.
So we are safe to say the bishop is actually saying what a lot of men probably don't want to tell their wives. So some of them do tell their wives and we don't know. But I'm sure he's done a lot for you. This one says, okay, we've moved away from reading. And Sahas Sule in Tamale is laughing at the comment of the bishop. And this one says, yes, it is true. If a woman satisfies her husband, it prevents the man from cheating on her. This is Maxwell Loverboy. I'm sure your name should mean that you probably have some expertise in love issues. This one says, this and many more are what we expect from our preachers. You give me more. Okay, all right. He says, I rather call this proper capacity building, and he laughs at his own comment. And Prosper from Tabale says, that's very true. I can pour out my last coins to my girlfriend in appreciation of that. Okay, that's very true. He adds a lot of your comments coming in. And someone also thinks that, yes, aside we being good providers, our ego is also boosted. And then, okay, all right, a lot of comments coming in, but I've got to show you something before I go. Take a look at our picture of the day. So, well, there you have it. I saw this some time ago and I thought it was rather interesting. Now, this is what we, as children, called a petrol car. Okay, and this man has written behind the car, "My Lufthansa." Call a thing what you want it to be. It's his Lufthansa, whether you like it or not. Whether it is a Beetle or a petrol car, that is his Lufthansa. There's nothing you can do about it. But what are you calling your little home? Probably you should call your home a mansion, or call that one dress that you have that you sewed in the corner somewhere. Call it some, big brand. He says it's his Lufthansa. You can't take it away from him. He's written it there. Well, that's our picture of the day, and that's how we end Joy News Interactive for today. It's always a pleasure to know that you'll be here when I turn up every day. I'm Bernice Abubedi. Thanks for your company. Do enjoy the rest of your day.